Welcome to the Lake Bluff School District 65 Board of Education meeting. I would like to call this meeting to order at 7:00 p.m. Lauren, may I have a roll call, please?
Carrie Steinbach.
Here.
Ann Hill.
Here.
Laura Brickstone.
Here.
Amy Hamel Donahue. Here. Richard Driver.
Here.
Tim Penich.
Here.
We're all here. Let's say the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mission: ensure academic achievements and personal growth for all students through innovation and engaging educational opportunities. Vision: an inclusive community and motivated learners who are inspired to change the world through exploration and collaboration. Motto: excellence in education, enthusiasm for life, every student, every day.
Thanks, Nancy. At this point in the meeting, we welcome public comment. Is there anyone in the audience who would like to make a public comment? Please raise your hand. We'll have another opportunity at the end of the evening if anyone is interested. Do any board members have a topic that they would like to bring forward to have discussed at a future meeting? I know.
Should I bring some, maybe not a, well, yeah, we should have a discussion. The, town hall collaborative meeting that we want to put out there for, like the elementary and the middle school to kind of collaborate and talk a little bit about curriculum and technology and any other like questions out there. So it's a little more of a roundtable chit chat. Maybe the next meeting.
We can add that to the agenda for sure. I did email everybody tonight, so check your emails if you don't know. We've got time.
I also have one other, it's not a future agenda item, it's just, we have a student listening session at Lake Forest High School with ninth graders, and we have, Tim will be in attendance, Dick was gonna be able to go, but we have a travel change. So if anyone doesn't have to be a discussion, but if anyone is available on February 18th, at the high school, and it starts at 6:30. It goes from 6:30 to 8 at the actual high school East Campus. Please let me know. And it's just gonna be, there'll be some parents, and then there'll be some student focus groups, and you'll have an opportunity to sit with a board member from another district and just ask questions about how things are going in the high school. So we can actually have more than two. I think that 67 and 115 might be sending more than two board members. You'll be kept separate. So there would be no Open Meetings Act violation. So just let me know if you're willing to go, and I'll make sure that you get all the communication.
Great, thank you. Well, then let's begin our discussions and presentations for the evening. Dr. Reale?
Thank you. Well, our first discussion item is to introduce our new student board representatives, and I'm actually going to let them introduce themselves in a second. But first, I just want to thank the board. This conversation started, I feel like, about 2 years ago almost. We had this conversation at a board retreat, and the board is very interested in hearing from our students firsthand how things are going and be able to ask them questions. We put it out there for students to volunteer. We had some discussions with students, and we're very excited to have these two here. We are one of a few elementary districts in the area that have student board reps. This is very much more common in high schools. And so I feel really proud that we have some students that are up to the task, and I think they're going to do a great job. We've already met for an onboarding session with Laura, who has volunteered to kind of mentor them, and they also came for a prep meeting. We'll be meeting with them ahead of each board meeting, so they feel prepared and ready for discussion. But I'm going to turn it over to them to introduce themselves. Nancy, do you want to go first?
Hi, I'm Nancy. I'm in 7th grade, and I think this is like a great opportunity to have. So yeah, thanks.
I'm Jameson. I'm in 6th grade, and I'm really excited to get to work with all of you guys because, and I think I'd be good for this because I think I'm like really good at communicating stuff from different people. So I think I'd be able to communicate stuff from here to the student body.
So thank you very much, and we look forward to working with you.
Welcome. All right, Community Youth Summit update.
All right, so as you all know, we have a Community Wellness Task Force that has been meeting for quite some time. It started a very long time ago, and pre-pandemic, the task force used to have youth summits. They used to bring kids together and talk about data and get their feedback. And during COVID, that kind of got lost a little bit, and it's taken us a bit to get back on track, but we do we have brought it back, and we have them planned. So February 27th, we're thankful to Croya for letting us use their facility. We will have 8th, 9th, and 10th graders from District 65, 67, and 115, as well as potentially some of our private schools in the area. Nate Blackwer, Patrick Sasson, John Maher at the high school, and I have really been working to get the agenda going. So we're going to take time to kind of make student connections with all the students that volunteer, review norms for collaboration and discussion. Then the students will be presented with data from our social media, like when we had Jesse Weinberger come, they'll review that data. They'll look at the Illinois Youth Survey data from the high school and from the middle schools, and then they'll have breakout discussions to kind of think about that data. Does it represent what they feel is happening in the schools, and then brainstorm some next steps. And then the second session will be planned based on what the kids say. So a big thank you to all the community organizations that are represented in that group. They are also, many of them, sending adults to facilitate the conversation. So I think it's going to be a really great event. And please let me know if you want to be involved. So
Very cool. Do we know about how many students will be there?
not yet. I don't know. That's a good question. I can find out.
I have full faith in you.
I think we'll have a good representation.
I think this says student device replacement fees.
So you have,
Chemicals.
you have a memo in your board packet, and I just wanted to highlight some of the changes that we're potentially looking to do as we look to move to a more expensive device. We haven't revised the student repair and replacement fees in some time. And so we're looking to have that match a little bit more of what some of the other districts are doing. Namely being, currently, students have one device, one repair free for an accidental damage. We would continue maintaining that because they do pay for that and some of their student fees throughout the years here. But then we're looking at moving to more of a tiered damage 2, 3, and 4, having a kind of a structured fee for repair. Additionally, one of the other highlights is we currently don't have anything that highlights if a student loses a device or, sorry, if a stolen device. And so we're looking to highlight more of that and have that they have to have a police report in place if that is stolen. And then also changing the fees for the loss to replace the device. The full cost of replacement is higher than $150, which is what I've heard.
Seems reasonable. Does anybody have any questions or?
Are the costs for each, the second through fourth incidents, is that what the district, like what our costs are, or is it lower or higher?
It's, so the second kind of still falls in line because with the warranty that the kids would have, it would cover 2 per year. We're looking to kind of put that deterrent in place for that
Okay.
second, third, and fourth.
Yeah.
And then the third and the fourth would be really starting to recover some of the costs of the device because that would no longer be, that would be something we'd be paying for.
Okay.
It's unlikely. I haven't seen, since we've had iPads in 6th grade, we haven't had one this year.
Gonna ask it, how often?
Yeah, we've had 2 broken cases, but they're both under warranty, so they were covered for 3 that were replaced, and then it's rare, even with Chromebooks, that I would say we have kids more than 3 or 4 times a year. Sorry, twice a year.
So Kevin, what is the, I can't find it on here again, but what is the fee you're proposing for the new iPads if they lose it or break?
So currently, if they lose their device, it's $150 to replace it. We would be moving up to the full cost of replacement for the iPad, which is, if they lose the casing on the device, it would be about, I think it's about $470 or $500. it's like 120 for the case and I think about 370 for the,
You
for the
said
iPad. If I-
470 for an iPad,
Yeah,
50 for the case.
I kind of got the feeling that that would be a hardship on quite a few of our families that have to pony up that much.
Like you were saying.
What if a student then says, we don't have it? Do they not get a computer the rest of the year?
that's something we would work through as a district. I have not had a lost device since I've been here. One that hasn't been found. So I know I'm setting this up.
I mean, I would rather see, at last meeting, we increased the fees by $10. I'd rather see the fees increased by 15 for 800 students. To provide for, some kind of contingency. So, somebody didn't have to come up with $450.
But I think what he's saying is this is because they're not, and correct me if I'm wrong, this isn't happening frequently and this is sort of put in as a deterrent. And if there is a family where that's a problem, I'm sure you would work something out with the family and it serves more as a deterrent. Correct?
If you qualify for a fee waiver, you
Correct.
pay for any fees at all, including lost devices or.
I'm sorry, Jay, I didn't.
Families who qualify for a fee waiver don't pay for lost devices. Lost library books, like they don't pay for anything.
Okay,
So we'll be talking about on the families.
yeah, well,
Or that income threshold.
as long as there's flexibility in that, and it's not a hard number for every single situation.
It is, but it's not. I mean, it's zero below a certain income threshold. If they have a waiver, and then it's full.
And it says in your memo that it's a case by case basis, whether these would be.
Most of what we see is the accident. Every once in a while, we can get a very negligent damage where the student intentionally did something, then we have a conversation, obviously, but stolen is, again, another common one, but as long as there's a police report, it's usually not an issue.
Back in the day, dating myself here, we used to. Reels of Florida arguments. We used to, I feel like we got them in 5th grade. This is what happened. You didn't get a computer till 5th grade and you had to sit down in the gym and have a presentation and sign a contract about how you were gonna take care of it and what the fee costs were, like replacement costs and damage costs and this and that, whatever. The parent had to sign it, the kid had to sign it. Do we still do something like that where families know, hey, this is a big deal, you're getting an iPad. You have to take care of it, here's how, and, sign on this line so that you know what the fees are. Okay. So that's part of registration
Yeah.
every year now?
Things.
All right, yeah, as long as
It's
they're.
all,
aware.
policy, all that stuff that's wrong.
Okay. Great. Well, I would say I understand your point. And if, a family really has a hardship, we certainly don't want to, have that kid not have the same access to everything at school, for sure. I think that this would be an unlikely scenario because fee waiver families would not have to pay for this anyhow. Other families would, and if there was ever some sort of scenario where
Somebody had a fire.
somebody's house
I
went
think
down,
I think somebody got a pass for that.
so, yeah.
Like we'll work. with
But-
it, too, if there
We'll
needs
work with the family if we have to, but I do like the idea of there being a repercussion for not taking care of your device, or a deterrent. Like, this is a privilege that the school gives you, and so you have to take care of it well.
Assuming this gets, the new fees are passed, could we highlight to families that there is an increase in?
Oh, yeah, we would absolutely.
Like more than just like,
We would definitely.
not that people don't read the handbook, but just so it's.
All right, Tim, we got it.
Also,
Just-
not this.
Yeah,
We need to be explicit,
yeah.
call it out.
I agree with, for sure.
but we would vote on this.
Yeah, any other thoughts? Okay, we'll take a vote on this at the next meeting. If anybody has thoughts or concerns or questions in the meantime, you can email me and work through them.
Thanks.
Thank you,
Thank
Heather.
you.
Special ed transportation contract.
So we bid, special ed transportation in January. When we have students who require sort of specialized transportation, one-off, either students who live out of district boundaries that we are required to transport to school, or students who attend outplaced locations, we also need to provide them transportation. It also often requires specialized equipment, wheelchairs, booster seats, harnesses, things like that. So we have specialized companies that do that. We bid it, we had 9 companies respond to the bid. And next meeting, or I will recommend that we award the business to 4 different companies. We award it to several different companies just because it is so specialized and things change. And not any one company can always meet the needs. Also, they do price differently, so sometimes it's more cost effective to use one company versus another. 2 of the companies are Safeway Transportation and Subtran. Those are both approved transportation providers at Lake Forest School Districts, both 115 and 67. And whenever we can share with them, we do so for efficiency and cost reasons. And then we also are looking at First Student and Brightlift, and both of those companies we've used in the past and have a good experience with. They transport, they specialize more in vans and cabs or cars, whereas the first 2 are more buses. And usually it's more cost effective to transport students in smaller vehicles. There's putting one kid on a school bus. So those are the 4. All of them, we've also vetted all 4 of those, and they meet our safety needs. They carry the right amount of insurance. They're doing this a long time, so we're confident they can do the job. And then we actually are also going to be bidding our regular transportation. Currently, it's Olson Transportation. While Olson is our provider for the rest of the year, we can also use Olson for transporting special education students to our school buildings, but we can also, under our current contract, use them for special transportation if we ever need it. But then we'll be going out this spring because they changed the school code, and we are no longer allowed to have any transportation contract over 10 years, and we've been doing with Olson for well in excess of 10 years, so we have to go out to bid for.
I mean, you just have to take it to bid every 10 years. You can still rehire this.
We could still rehire the same company, but it has to be a new contract.
In the memo, it said that there is a tabulation sheet, like there's no cost that you put out there.
Did I not?
It said it was attached, but
Oh, I
but
didn't.
it wasn't, yeah.
I will attach that. Was the response that people gave? The cab companies or the first division vehicle companies, non-school buses, usually it's a base rate plus some mileage amount, whereas a school bus is kind of just a flat rate for the route. So it lists all the routes. It was a 3-year contract, and it lists it out for each year for the remainder of this year, the next 3. So I don't recall the amount, but they're listed, and some of the companies bid it both ways as school buses and cars, so they give 2 different prices. That'll all be posted on the form.
So what do we currently pay for the specialized transportation?
It varies because each route is individual, so like that's why I can't calculate the total, because
Oh, I didn't know.
it depends on how many students in the vehicle, where it's going. So most of our routes are from here, Lake Bluff area to True North 1804. That's about 10 or 11 miles. Our routes are anywhere from $80 to $110 each way.
So we can just
Specifics.
like a daily cost?
each way, so
Okay.
there and back. And then, so some of the bus routes were $170 a month. So if we could partner with Lake Forest and put 3 or 4 kids on a bus, that would make sense, but individually buses.
When we see transportation in the budget, is this included in it or is it broken off?
This is included in transportation. Yeah, it really is broken out between regular transportation and special ed transportation. Special education transportation can range anywhere from, it's been increasing and it really depends on the number of kids that we need to transport. It'll be over $100,000 this year in specialized transportation. Whereas our regular transportation is closer to 600,000. But but for the, ratio of the number of kids, it's a significant percentage of our overall budget.
Thank you.
Do we have any other questions for Jay on this?
Is it just Safeway and Centram that we use in conjunction with Lake Forest, or is it all,
Those are the only two that it were. So we actually, when we can, we joint bid with Lake Forest. We put out one bid and then each district can award its own contracts. And we did bid with them in the fall, but I didn't realize that the insurance requirements that were included in that bid were very high, and basically the bus companies couldn't afford to meet that. So I rebid on our own with a lower insurance requirement to allow some of the smaller other vendors to bid. So
that makes sense.
yeah, but those two companies are the only ones that Lake Forest will use.
Okay.
So for we'll likely do one of those two, so it makes sense to also award them. Just because so they're an approved vendor in the case we want to show.
Gotcha. Okay, I just misunderstood. Thank you.
And there aren't any minimums, like, it's ever changing, right? Like, well, there's a change often, if we add kids or,
Yeah, I mean, with each, every new kid is basically all new costs, so the cost is it fluctuates relative to the number of students we have. So if you double the number of kids you have, you're probably double your cost.
so if you pull kids out, there's no penalty, like if kids end up not taking it.
No, it's on a day by day basis, so, we can call up to that morning and say, so-and-so doesn't need transportation. And they just, if you call them and cancel it, then you don't pay for that. It's not a run basis, it's like, they just guarantee the rate and they guarantee that they're gonna meet certain standards and have certain insurance in place, but we can use them as much as we go.
You use them almost like you use a taxi.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay.
And also, special education transportation is reimbursed by the state. So with the way our district, the characteristics of our district are such that we get very little regular education reimbursement. It's only $16 per student per year, and the rest is funded through taxes and fees. For special education transportation, we get a reimbursement of 80% of the prior year's cost 1 year arrears. So as our costs go up, our state reimbursement goes up as well.
Okay.
However, they don't always appropriate enough money to cover all of the transportation needs, so it's often prorated. So we tend to get 70% of 80% of the cost. 50%. But we do still get some money back. So as our costs go up, this is something that, one of the few things that we do get state reimbursement.
Okay, that's good to know. Any other questions for Jay on special ed transportation? Okay, want to go on to night custodial contracts?
So, if you recall, we were having some issues with our current night custodial provider, GSF. And so we went out and rebid it in November for the following year. And so RJB was going to start July 1st of 2025. And we have worked with both GSF and RJB to transition earlier than that. So they will likely be taking over spring break at the end of March. And so at the next meeting, I have a kind of termination agreement for GSF for the board to approve and sign, and then a contract for RJV to carry them from March through the end of the school year. So that's a separate contract for the remainder of this year, and then the other contract starts July 1st.
Okay.
And we get Henry Oliver back, who was our night, the manager before, and he knows the district well, and we like him a lot, so we're very excited that they'll be back, and I think the transition will go very smoothly because they are in the buildings.
Is there a penalty to get out of that contract early?
No, I mean, we actually had a 60-day termination for convenience clause in the contract. And really GSF was very, when they stood behind their business and they were very professional, and like when the things were not going well, they tried to fix it. And when we said, hey, it's not working out, they totally understand what they have committed to do with it, and we can make it a good transition. There's no cancellation fees or want us to be satisfied. So.
That's great.
I mean, they handled it very well, so I think it was really, it depends on your night supervisor. GSF is a good company, and many districts have very good experience with them. Some people don't like RJV, like it really just depends on who you have at your district, and just, we're not.
So JRJB will be then for, do we have a 2-year contract with them?
It's a 1-year contract with with 4 additional 1-year options at the board's discretion to renew.
Okay, so it's only a
So it's a
1-year.
1-year contract for 25, 26, at which point we could go out to bid again for someone else, or we could renew with RJB at a price not to exceed CPI and maximum of 3%.
But unless something goes wrong for the foreseeable future, now we're set with.
Yeah, I expect to have RJB for the next 5 years, because that is the maximum length of our contracted extensions. That is put in place.
Okay. Thanks.
And is there a big difference between what we're paying RJV for the rest of this year and what we were paying?
There's a small difference. I think the annual total difference was 7,000.
Okay, so,
Last.
yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions on this? Thanks, Jay. All right, let's move on to press policy packet one. No,
Copy and print. Is that not on yours?
but let's go copy and print.
Copy and print services.
So our current Canon contract for our existing copiers and printers expires in June. And we've been approached by Konica with a very attractive offer to renew early, I think by the end of March, for all new machines and some attractive pricing. We've reached out to Canon, and they want to hold on to our business, so they're going to come back with a proposal as well. So I think we're in a very good position to save some money on printing.
Great.
So we will likely get new copiers before the end of the current fiscal year. And they'll either become consumer August. We've got a very good experience with Canon. If we can save money. Great.
Like to hear that. Any questions? Wonderful.
No.
Now let's do press
Yeah.
policy packet 117.
So we have a whole packet of policies in there. There are a lot of them to read, but I would suggest going to the second attachment in the packet, which is the memo, which outlines at the end kind of all of the policies that are included in the packet and the changes for your review. There really wasn't there wasn't anything to decide. Everything was recommended. And most of it was just non-substantive changes, legal references and some minor changes that we're already doing in most cases. So please take a look through that. This is the first reading, and then we will take a look again. If you have any thoughts or questions, we'll talk about it again at our next meeting.
I didn't see the shortcut, so I was like reading.
Oh, it's so long, so much.
I got an advantage. I got time.
Don't brag.
But one thing I was, this wasn't a change, but I was interested to see, and correct me, I may have misread it, but in grades, was it kindergarten through 3? So it's in 660, and I can't find
The
it.
curriculum.
Yeah, that for students that are not at grade level, we're supposed to give them 60 minutes of reading time. And is that a recommendation or is that
So
a,
those are recommendations, and our
Mhm.
students do have that much time.
we do, okay, oh, good. Good. Yeah, I was surprised to see
Yeah,
how detailed some of his requirements are in there,
Yeah,
or
660.
recommendations. anyway.
Yeah, 660 is all of the curriculum that's been mandated, and all of those legal guidelines. And so we align our content to that, and then the Regional Office of Education comes in, I think once every 3 years, does an audit.
Oh, really?
And then we have to provide documentation of all of those things.
But it's just, is it kindergarten too, or just first, second, third grade?
I'd have to look, but our students have at least 60 minutes of
Oh, they do
reading
that,
and
okay.
writing and literacy instruction every day.
Right.
So, yeah. We're lucky we transitioned to full day kindergarten some time ago. We still have some districts in the state that are making the transition from half day to full day. In a half day kindergarten program, 60 minutes is hard to get in. So with a full day program, we can do that. Any other questions? No?
All right, let's talk about district communication and social media.
All right, so our last discussion item is on social media and communication. So in the packet is a social media report from Allerton Hill, kind of with a recap of our engagements on social media, which is it's kind of interesting, and we continue to have some more followers. Facebook is still our biggest, engagement tool, although Instagram is big also. But my update really has less to do with numbers and those kinds of things, and more to do with the conversation that we're having at the technology committee and with our staff with regard to just communications in general and how that interfaces with the tech conversation that we've been having. So obviously, we've been talking a lot about social media and what we want for our students in terms of, less engagement with social media. And all through this conversation, there's been sort of this tug between us wanting to put out a positive story and really celebrate all the great things that are happening here, and also balancing that with being really responsible about the digital footprint that our kids have, that our staff has. Obviously knowing that social media is sometimes not a safe place for us to have photos out and pictures out, and we just have to be more and more careful, it seems, as the years go by. So we are starting a conversation with our staff about the best way to celebrate those stories and the best way to get pictures and photos out to the people that really care about them. So number one, we know that parents love to hear how school is going and to see their kids engaging in classwork. But we really feel strongly that those pictures of kids and their faces should go directly to parents and probably not just be flooded out on Instagram or Facebook. Especially as we've talked about, not every student loves to see every picture that's taken of them online. A lot of kids and adults also feel pretty strongly that they want to be able to see the picture and feel good about
January 2025.
and feel good about those pictures before they go out. So we're rethinking, how can we privately share and safely share lots of pictures of kids doing important work and great things in the classrooms directly to parents, and then kind of pull back on the individualized teacher Instagram accounts and individualized teacher kind of flows of pictures out online, and then instead streamline those to like a building account and a district account that would focus more on the work that students are doing and less on faces and things like that. So we're working with Allerton Hill to kind of design a different way to report and to communicate online. It's a it's something we're gonna continue to talk to staff and parents about, because I know a lot of parents feel really strongly, they wanna see their kids. They love having those Instagram feeds and seeing the pictures and everything, but also we know now, especially with the ability of people to take faces and use artificial intelligence to make different pictures and fakes and memes and all that stuff, we really don't wanna contribute to that kind of an environment. And so, and for staff, both. So we're really trying to make a workable solution that keeps parents feeling engaged with what's happening, but also takes safety into account in terms of what we are posting online. So this will be a change, but like I said, we're working on it now with staff so that we achieve our goals, and we're gonna be collecting some information from parents. I talk to different groups that that I meet with regularly and kind of ask their thoughts as the plan evolves. And I just wanted to keep you informed that that's something we're talking about and answer any questions that you might have. I don't know, we talked, Jameson and Nancy and I talked this morning or this afternoon about it. Did you guys think about it anymore?
So I just want to say again, I know I talked to you about this, but like about like private accounts, like you could just make the account private, so like you could only let in parents and students. You said like you'd have to like remove like the following year, and like that can like be an issue, but I feel like that wouldn't be that much an issue because they aren't just like some random strangers on the internet. They're still like a part of the community, and they aren't just some strangers that are gonna like do things like these photos. So yeah.
One thing we do want to make sure that we do, no matter what, is talk with everyone about consistency. We have noticed that not all teachers have those accounts and not all teachers post as much as other teachers. And I think that's a bit of an issue sometimes as well. We want to make sure that no matter whose class you're in, you're kind of getting the same general amount of feedback photos coming from the classroom. So no matter how we go, we want to make sure we're a little bit more consistent too. Thanks for that, Nancy.
Didn't you say earlier that we were bringing back Seesaw though?
Seesaw might be the platform that we might use for elementary to get those pictures to parents too. That's something we're thinking
But
about.
what about the middle school then?
Not sure yet. Do you have thoughts?
I don't know. I think the private accounts would be a pretty good idea. If you do forget to remove people though, as the years go by, it's gonna get to the point where there's like 300 people and then it's basically not even private.
So we'd have to really stay on top.
Yeah. Well, and who would have to manage that? The teacher themselves?
Right, like would the account be private for just the class and the teacher has to manage who's through?
Yeah, which gets a little tricky, especially for our teachers that have so for like a related arts teacher that might have
All the students.
5 classes or 6 6 or 2 or 3 grades, which means like 10 or 15 classes. And then you're managing that many accounts versus like, an elementary teacher, which has a certain amount, or a middle school teacher, which has 125 kids. It's definitely a different workload for managing that. And so,
Well, and also I have many concerns about it, but the one thing I would say is I don't want it pulling away from their teacher time by having to like post Instagram pictures.
Yeah.
Like, and they're also doing like at the elementary school, they're doing Seesaw or S'mores or whatever they use for their platform. And that's already enough work. And then to be like, but also you have to have this very streamlined Instagram with X amount of pictures on X amount of days.
Yeah, like some teachers like have time and like doing it, but some teachers like don't really have the time to do it. Like my mom's a teacher and she just doesn't have the time to like make an Instagram and take photos and stuff.
and like you said, some people love doing it.
Mhm.
We'll take the
Yeah.
time and it's not as big. I'm not an Instagram. I have an Instagram account, but I never go on it. And so it's like, it has to become part of your routine. So that's what we're talking to teachers about, because I also feel like it is a little bit of an equity issue. We don't want somebody wanting a certain teacher if that's what you like, and then another teacher might not be doing that, but it's the same great environment. It's just not the pictures coming out. So it's a little tricky. We're definitely happy to be moving the conversation forward because I think it's important right now.
When you say consistency, which is I forgot the word, just what other ways are people doing it?
So some of our teachers have like a Google folder that they will share with just the parents for that year, and then they can easily drop pictures right in, and then when parents want to, they can go in and see them. Some are using Seesaw. Some do the Instagram, so there's like, it's kind of all over the place right now. And teachers are very open to it. Kevin and I both were at, both faculty meetings in the last month and kind of put this out to say like, this is what we're thinking of doing. And our teachers were really receptive to the conversation and willing to move forward and work on something that's doable for everyone and also still engaging for parents.
What do we think, the majority of the staff would want to do for this?
Not sure yet, because we haven't pulled our group yet together. I think a reasonable amount of work is what they'll want, like a reasonable, for some teachers, that'll be pulling back. And for some teachers, will be doing more, so we'll have to try and find a balance, that's doable for everyone. I do think elementary is leaning towards Seesaw as a platform that we kind of burnt out on during COVID. But I think we can bring it back in a balanced way.
Do we have a lot of teachers who post classroom photos on Instagram?
Yeah, we have a good flavor. And we have some great, like our principals have great accounts. I mean, Washington DC is coming up and this is a big Instagram event for Mr. Blackmer. He likes to post and I know that parents like to watch. And so, you know, there's like, we're trying to figure that out too. I mean, there are some good uses for it that are real time and parents really love it. So that's part of the conversation too.
I don't really understand how there could be, because I know it's kind of like we're trying to find a balance in between this, but like if one person like definitely really does not want to engage in this at all and another one would like to do stuff maybe daily, I mean, how can we even find a balance?
We're gonna have to put some, guidelines in. It's hard to kind of hold people to be accountable for that then. But that's what we're saying is like, we kind of let people do that, but people who really want to, but go gung ho. And then we've kind of not said anything when somebody doesn't want to, but it's really not fair for parents. And so we as a staff have to hold each other accountable to stay within those guidelines because that's the consistency is better.
Do you guys think it's important to kids to have these accounts posted?
I think we were actually talking about this earlier and we said a good idea for this, we can maybe put out a survey and see what the students would want.
Sure.
Have you ever gone on your mom's account and seen pictures from your classrooms of yourself? Like how often do you guys think the kids actually see what the teachers post?
Oh, I see it all the time. I have Instagram.
So you'll see what your teachers post?
Yeah.
Do any of the middle school teachers post stuff?
Madame does.
So you'll see what she posts?
Yeah, and like Mr. Beasy does, and they're fun. And yeah.
Yeah. What about, do you guys remember in elementary school, did you ever see like what those, like I feel like the elementary is more for the.
Oh, I would, the newsletters I would see sometimes. I would just like see on my mom's phone sometimes, but not that
It seems like
often.
the elementary school posts are more for the parents to see, and the middle school, I do think some of the older kids see.
But also I think like an elementary school kid, I doubt any of them would really care to have their faces on social media. They probably don't even understand what it is. And I think a middle school kid would probably have more of an opinion because they would probably, most middle school kids have social media now. So I think they would kind of know more about it and know what their limits are on having their face on it or not having it on. I don't have social media, so I don't know, but I know a lot of my friends do.
We did get some feedback from parents, like, it's a little bit of a mixed message. We're saying we don't want kids on social media, but then we're putting things out on social media that are interesting to them, that would maybe want them to see, like, what are we actually saying about it as a school district? And I think the research is pretty clear that it's not the best use of a student's time to be kind of scrolling through social media, or our time even also. So there's that balance of telling our story and making sure that we have like some great news out there about all the celebrations and things, but I think we could focus more on the work you guys are doing and all the great things teachers are doing versus like just happy faces, right? Like there's a difference.
Well, sure, because one tells the story.
Yes.
I mean, they both tell.
stories.
But in different ways. Yeah.
Yeah, like the main Lake Bluff Middle School Instagram post is more like all just like the fun assemblies and like all the events and stuff.
And you guys do a lot of awesome work in the classrooms too, that we could be showcasing.
Yeah.
Well, it'd be interesting to hear the staff, the teachers think. Yes. Anything else on that?
Now, I was I was kind of disappointed you weren't doing the numbers.
You wanna go through the numbers?
No, but correct me if I'm wrong, because I did a little bit just so,
Go ahead.
I'm coming from way behind on this whole area. But it looked like, using their numbers, that we average like 2 posts a day.
I
Am I
don't have it.
reading that right? There were like 400 posts in 5 months.
Okay.
380
I think it
or something.
depended on the platform. Those numbers. Like it was across all.
So made across all platforms, 197 posts. From,
For 5 months.
yeah.
Yeah, so that's like 2 a day.
Yeah.
2 a day. And we've got 1,400, roughly 1,400,
People
people
following.
that are all following.
Yep.
Plus, I mean, other people can jump in, but, so that worked out to like, each person would be accessed at an average 40 times over 5 months. So like twice a month, twice a week. So am I reading that? Am I
So
understanding?
the audience, the 1,400, how many people are following our accounts? But the
Yeah.
posts would be coming from us,
The posts are coming from us,
from us.
but
So
the
then the impressions,
impression, yeah,
that's the 55,000 number. So
Yeah.
that's how many people are seeing or engaging with the posts.
right.
So
So if I just took 55,000 divided by,
400 engage with it.
oh, sorry, 55,000 is the
It's like
impression.
they,
It's like when they see it.
Impressions is what
Yeah.
I was supposed to say.
so I just divided that by 1,400,
Okay.
which was 40 roughly, and then 5 for each month. So that came out to 8 for a month, and so 2 on average twice a week for the people that are following. Obviously, there's some that are looking at it every single day and some that are, but is that fair to, is that fair?
I didn't do the math, so.
it was an interesting.
I'm just trying to get a little perspective on,
Sure.
But I think you hit it on the head, like the more people that go on and look, it's like
yeah,
the algorithms show, like I'm always engaging with like Bluff School District's posts, then I'm
Right.
gonna see them way more.
Yeah.
Than like if you go on once a week and you might just blow through it or not like it, then like your algorithm tells it that you're not interested. Like,
And I do think just because people don't engage necessarily doesn't mean that they're not following it or seeing it, so.
no, I think they track too, like how long you're paused
On
on
it.
it. And so, yeah, like I don't.
and so I
think
thought that was like every time somebody opened it, that counted as
Or if they
That
like to.
too. So if you pause long enough, which means like you're reading what it actually is, it calculates that you're interested in that. So like
Okay.
don't pause on ads. It's will come.
okay.
All ads.
And it looked like Allerton Hill was kind of saying a little bit what you're saying, that it looked like their assessment at the very end, because they had all of these graphs going up and peaks and all of this stuff, was that, quality was better than quantity, again.
Yeah, and I think we're also, I mean, from their perspective, we're struggling to get stuff to go on the main feed because teachers are very focused on putting out, the ones that are posting through their own teacher sites. And so we're trying to gather kind of great pictures to showcase lots of different things that are happening. But instead of it coming through the district feed, which we would want our communications place to look at and kind of help us to format right and make sure that we're posting safe things and all those, we want that to kind of go through the main feed. Instead, we're not getting a lot of people submitting things through the district feed. They're putting them out on their Instagram feeds, and then those are not only harder for us to monitor, but not everyone sees those, which is fine, because those are only for the people that have subscribed to those channels. But it's sort of like, we don't really have, kind of a strategic way that we're putting out information. And then we're not monitoring necessarily at a district level what is being put out on those teacher Instagram pages. Like, I could see it, but I'm not sure that I'm seeing everything that's being put out.
So these Allerton Hill numbers don't include, teacher
I
posts?
think they do, no? not the individual teacher account?
No.
Or they're just on our district?
Just the district.
Yeah.
Oh.
There's like enrichment.
Oh, yeah,
There's,
that's because they
like,
don't-
Individual
yeah.
kindergarten teachers, there's the art teacher, there's like band.
These are just the ones that we're putting out ourselves.
Yeah.
Do you think teachers would be open to, if you look at, 4 weeks in a month, in those 2 weeks, do like first, second, third, fourth, fifth? First grade all, does post on Monday, Tuesday, because you could do first through fifth
To make
one
it more
week,
manageable.
and then kindergarten, sixth, seventh, eighth, and fine arts. And that would fit the 10 days. So really it would be
Be once every 2 weeks.
once every 2 weeks, like Monday, the first Monday of the month is always kindergarten. And then that is tied.
We have to.
Well, that's what it would have
Like
to
they
be.
submit into like a.
Allerton Hell or whoever is.
And they're good at doing that. If we submit the stuff to them, then they can.
Yeah, so I feel like they can make it all pretty and
Yeah.
whatever, but if you're like, tell me the highlight of your last 2 weeks.
Yep.
Kindergarten, submit it, and then Monday, it's gonna be kindergarten highlight, Tuesday's first grade, whatever. Just so it's coming, and then parents might also know, like,
Be more tuned.
all right, it's always gonna be
And it's fun to
first
see
and
the
third.
Yeah, but clearly teachers shouldn't feel the pressure to feel like they gotta put something out every day. or-
Well, it might take the pressure off the teachers
But we
putting it on
have
their.
some that do.
I bet we
Like
do,
to, yeah. And then we have some that don't, and then I do think there's some pressure sometimes for them,
Oh.
even though they don't.
But with your like
Perceived.
idea, like with the Monday, Tuesday stuff, like the kindergarten teachers, I know there's 5 of them. Like you switch off every time. So like if teachers who don't like to do it, like you only have to do it like once a month or so.
Or they could all submit
Collaborate.
As like,
as together.
Oh, yeah.
So it would be a post of 10 photos
Mhm.
from all the kindergarten classes. So it wasn't all, if one kindergarten teacher really liked to post and another was like, not for me, Allerton Hill would help put it
Put it on.
in a nice little pretty package, but it would highlight all those kids that,
I think that's.
It's a great
idea
suggestion
to
that you
bring to our
could,
team.
just as a way to. And then maybe some teachers wouldn't feel as pressured to put them up on Instagram. They could say like, hey,
I
We're gonna be
submitted it for that week.
highlighted.
Right.
we're gonna be highlighted on the, district account on these 2 days. Watch for some fun photos.
and they could still send an update on an individual student,
Right.
too.
Well, we would prefer
I would
that.
kinda-
I would, I think one thing we've also talked about is just more individual feedback or progress reports and kind of information to individual parents instead of kind of blasting out to that type of a thing. We'd rather them take that energy and write some emails to parents or give some feedback like that. So just kind of diverting that time resource that our teachers don't have much of. Sorry. Well,
Yeah, it loses its impact if every week, you're reading, oh, everything was great, oh,
Right.
everything was great. That, pretty soon you're just not reading it anymore.
so we will get together as a staff and bring you some more updates as the year goes on.
thank you. I like the idea of us being socially responsible on social media. All right,
That is all I have.
that is all we have tonight. Anyone in the audience want to make a public comment? All right, then may I have a motion to adjourn the February Committee of the Whole meeting at 7:53 PM?
So moved.
All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Meeting is adjourned.